How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And with me is, boy, that was perfect timing. Never fails. They're so quiet throughout the whole thing, and they start. My dog does the same thing, man, when I'm doing an interview.
Sorry, I'm at my parents' house, and my parents' dog is outside with me. Come on. Hold on, we're trying to get him in the house.
It's okay. This is Bobby Piskor. How are you,
Yes,
sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Family dog Oreo wanted to say hi too, so
That was okay. Thank you for being here and talking about this particular project and your brother's legacy and what it means to you all and what it means to his fans and just talking a little bit about the behind the scenes of how this even came about and what route that you all were taking and just telling us those particular stories. So I know we talked a little bit behind the scenes. So again, I'm very, very sorry for the circumstances that we are getting to talk to about.
thank you. Yeah, no, it's been a rough couple months for sure. But our family has banded together to keep the legacy going. There's the world still wants content from my brother. Switchblade Shorties it was the last finished project, and we still wanted to honor his wishes and get that out there in front of the world to see, because it's just a fantastic book.
So I think like a lot of people got to know your brother's work because of the hip hop family tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh my gosh, I think a lot of people knew his work because of X-Men Grand Design. Marvel released these big, beautiful editions of the Treasury editions of his. And I mean, it was really cool to see that, like an independent artist do something like X-Men. Like we'd seen that in the past with like Gemma Food doing some Generation X stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen independent, but to the extent of like the X-Men Grand Design, that was a huge ordeal. So that was a big win for indie creators. And your brother was, that big part. And then of course there was Jim Ruggs, Hulk Grand Design, and I think it was Tom Scioli that did the Fantastic Four Grand Design, and opening the doors for all those other creators to do the same.
Absolutely. He was definitely a pioneer in that regard. I knew X-Men was like such a passion project because, growing up, like he absolutely loved the X-Men, and like he showed pictures of like early comics that he created when he was a child, and it was his own version of X-Men. And I believe in Grand Design there were some pages of his original story that he had done. And again, it was so wild that like he goes in the history books as like the only person to have like done it all by himself. Like that's unheard of these days.
I actually, when that book came out, it was really interesting because I emailed your brother. I was doing shows, and I emailed him. I think it was right before he started doing Cartoonist Kayfabe with Jim, and I was like, dude, you stole all our ideas when we were kids. We all wanted to do something like this, a chronological order of X-Men stories. This is exactly what I live for.
Yeah.
And your brother was really cool. And then I got to meet him at conventions a couple times, and we kept in touch through email, always talking about doing like some kind of X-Men video together. And unfortunately it never happened because life happens and people get busy, and he was busy doing his own show. He was busy creating. I have no idea how your brother like kept up with the show, multiple shows a day at a time, and then creating comics. Like, did he ever sleep?
Not really, no. I mean, that's just his work ethic, and it really showed through in all of his work. He dedicated his life to his body of work, and there was birthday parties and like holidays that he had to miss out on because work came first, and nobody held that against him. That's just the way that he was. And it was super important to him to meet his deadlines and to get his content out there. So that obviously that was important to him.
So this couldn't have been easy to put this together. So what you and the family, because of Ed's last wishes, are doing is putting together his final work as a book, and the link is through Zoop that I've got
Yeah.
shared on the video right now. If you're watching live, and if you're watching this later, there is a link in the description of the video that will take you there. And what this is the final finished project that he was working on.
Yep.
And there's a hardcover. There's a hardcover with dust jacket. There's T-shirts. There's all kinds of just different tiers that people can get. This wonderful book. Like there's stickers, and this couldn't have been easy.
No, it's been an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. The silver lining to it was that it was completed. It was, ready to go as far as like we're gonna hit print. Everything was scanned and designed by my brother. So it was literally just, here you go, on a silver platter. Essentially, we were able to hand it right off to them and see what happens. I mean, we're blown away by the amount of support that we've received. Totally blew the expectations out of the water on the first day. So many people have backed the project, and again, can't say thank you enough.
When it comes to a project like this, and you said everything was ready to go and just hit the print, what made you all go the route of Soup? Like, how is that even decided as a family? Because Ed's not here anymore, and maybe there was a publisher he had in mind, but you wouldn't know that. Like, it's not like he left it in his will or anything. So how did you all decide to go this route?
So, I mean, there was a lot of factors that went into this. My mom and I and my sisters, we all met with the people at Zoop. We met with, our attorneys, and we felt like this would be the best route to go for the time being. I mean, there was a book deal that did go away during, the periods leading up to right before he passed. And again, the book was still out there ready to go. And we felt really strong about the Zoop campaign. That's why we went that route.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, when people found out about this book, were publishers offering, like, coming to you all and asking, "Hey, we would like to print this"? How?
No,
Because he had been working with other publishers at the time before
he was, but there was one offer on the table that went away.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's a touchy subject. So again, Zoop was very gracious with us. And with our attorneys, we felt like it was the best route that we could go at the time. So we'll see what happens going forward. We want to just get this in the hands of the people that have been really wanting to see Switchblade Shorties in their hands.
Have you had a chance to read all of it?
I haven't read all of it. I'm not big into reading on like a Kindle or on a computer. I need a physical copy of something to actually read. So I've definitely done, more than half of the book, but again, not the complete book yet. I will say though, it's a fun one. It's going to be a lot of fun for everybody. There's a lot of like classic nostalgia references, a lot of like, personal like spots here in town. So it's going to be cool.
So what is this book about? What is the synopsis, if you can give us that?
So there's a bunch of kids. One of the kids goes missing, and it's just a series of them like going on adventures, running into different casts of characters and monsters, and it's just like it's like a Stranger Things type story, but it's about a bunch of just kids with like going on adventures.
Okay.
It's got some comedy, it's got some drama, it's got some horror. It's got my brother's touch on it.
Um, with something like this on Zoop, that's going on, like, are the page count already decided? I know the trim size and everything has been decided because of the way that this is drawn. It's a landscape, right? Like
Yes, landscape.
strip.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a bigger book. It's a very unique style, that's for sure, and it'll look nice on a shelf.
When deciding on something like this, what about like extras, the things that you find maybe you didn't even know you had laying around, like sketches and things like that?
So there are some extras. Jim Rugg and Tom Scioli, they did pinups for it. There's going to be some extra bonus content that is going to be a surprise to the customer as they leaf through it. So I don't want to get too far into it, just because, again, you got to leave something to the imagination. And then who knows what else? We still got some time before it actually goes to print. So you just never know what might pop up.
Okay. How this being the last final work that Ed was doing, how do you all determine, like, is there a forward by the family in here, and like who ends up getting the righted? Like, how does that, man? It's all these like difficult questions to ask, because unfortunately it's things that people probably want to know. Like,
Sure. Yeah. So I will say that I wrote a piece that's going to be in there. I can't say that I did the forward because, again, there's still some time left before it gets released. So all I can say is stay tuned for that, because I think, there'll be some news dropping potentially. Hint, hint.
Okay. And this book is, once it gets funded, it's already ready to go to the printer, and it will be available. I believe it's the spring of 2025 is
Yes.
what I think I read.
Yeah. That's when it should be distributed.
I gotta say something. When I was looking at the tiers a couple of days ago before our interview, I was like, oh, there's no PDF. And of course there's no PDF. We're talking about an Ed Piskor book. Why the hell would he make a PDF? He loved physical editions. He loved the paper. He loved holding books.
Yep.
So it makes perfect sense why there is no PDF file or anything.
There was definitely talks of it, and we all voted against it because that's just not what my brother would want. My brother did not do PDF versions of his books. If he did, it was for a specific reason. This one definitely not. This one definitely you want to hold in your hands.
Okay. This book has already met its goal and surpassed it, and congratulations to you and your family. And I know there could be a lot more in here. You still got 22 days left. With something like this, I know your brother was, the type of artist that had physical art laying around. With the success of this, do you all see something else happening with like his sketches and unreleased stuff, things he was working on?
I will say this isn't the last you're going to see of us. There's a lot left in the tank here, and one thing at a time.
Okay. How does this work through Zoop? Like, you send the files to Zoop, it's ready to print. But does it have to be overseen by somebody, like an editor, making sure the pages are in order? Like, how does it work?
Everything's already been edited and formatted.
Oh, wow.
Literally, like, Switchblade was completed. Like, when we say the final completed work, I mean, everything was literally ready to go. So it was a matter of just getting it in their hands and getting the campaign going. And that's what we're doing.
Okay. And I assume the rights revert back to the family, correct?
Yep.
Switchblade Shorties.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
And what was it like to be looking at your brother's unreleased pieces?
Yeah, it's rough because, we still picture him sitting there drawing and showing us, pages and panels that he's been working on. So like, it's been a very emotional couple months for us because this isn't our wheelhouse. Like we all had our lives before this happened, and we've kind of like taken the ball and ran with it because again, we still want to honor his wishes.
Mm-hmm.
It was you know told that we needed to get this out there, and that's what we're doing.
Bobby, were you a fan of comics? Did you read comics? Like, did you and your brother like talk about comics together?
So I was never like the comic guy. That was my brother's thing. I was into wrestling, but like we always shared our interests with each other. So
Mhm.
like, yeah, I've read comics in the past. If he's done something, I've read it. If it was something he wanted me to read, I would read it. So like even growing up, we shared a room. So like comics were always around. Like I would go with him to different comic conventions. So like I've been around the world with comics. It's just again, it wasn't like my collection, it wasn't my thing, but I would always support what my brother did, and he would support me in what I did.
So you're not okay. So you're not 100% a stranger to this type of stuff that like putting together a comic book. Like it's not like you've never seen a comic book before.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like when he first broke into the comic industry, and he would print his own zines and send them out, and like get him ready
Mhm.
for his like first conventions. Like I definitely helped put in the legwork with him, stabling and cutting and printing and all that stuff. So like again, I'm no stranger to the world. Like I've been around it for a long time. It's just now I'm on the different side of it.
Yeah, now you're on the publishing side of things and waiting on shipping, and hopefully the proofs will come out good. I assume the proofs are sent to you all first to make sure everything looks good and to your approval, and then
Yep.
it's good to go after that.
Yep. Yep. It'll be ready to go. Like I said, early next year, everything will start being distributed. We're really excited for it. Can't wait.
Um, Now there's a really good question from my buddy Taylor Talks Comics. How are you, man? Uh, will this hit the direct market afterwards, or is this the only time to get this?
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, comic shops can buy bundle packs to sell at their shops, so that's an option right now through this campaign. And then again, we'll see where it goes after this. If there's still a demand, we still have the rights to shop it around to publishers. So like, there's a lot more that can happen going forward.
Your brother was very precise when it came to physical editions of his stuff.
Mhm.
How did you all go about like I guess trying to honor his wishes and trying to print the book the best way that he would? Did you all consult, like, I know him and Jim worked a lot together. Did you all like end up talking to Jim about like the paper stock, the binding, the type of book it should be printed on?
So we have a very solid team of people that we've been working with on
Mhm.
this, and my brother had a very high expectation with everything that he did, and again, we are honoring exactly that. And everybody at Zoop has been very, very helpful with our wishes, and I feel like we are going to do him proud in quality. And I'm really like, I can't wait to see the physical proof just to make sure that everything is up to his high standard that he lived by.
What's been the hardest part of putting all this together? What kind of hurdles did you all have to jump through uh, as a family?
Just making sure it's the right decision. You know, again, this isn't our world. We've kind of, dove into this one in the deep end, and here we are, just merely a few weeks away from the campaign being over and it going right to print. It's been a lot of conversation, and again, hopefully we are doing him proud. Uh, a lot of thought and effort went into this, into the campaign, into what we're releasing, the extra features, picking out the prints and all of that. It's been, a team effort from all of us. It's not just me. It's not just my sisters. It's not just my mom. It's all of us. We're all working together to create this.
You've got a taste of what it's like to publish your own book,
right?
And you're doing this, the publishing side of things, where your brother did the work and wrote the stories. Now you can understand my question of how in the world did he have time. I guess he didn't sleep.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of work to do this. How how has the community been with this book? Like, because like I said, your brother was very vocal. He was a big voice in the community. How has it, the community as a whole, been reacting to this particular book, this project that you are?
I mean, as you can see, like we blew the campaign goal out of the water, and I feel like everybody has been really excited and very supportive of us. Even before his pass, or before we announced it, like right after his passing, it was like, man, what's going to happen with Switchblade Shorties? Is it still going to be a thing? So like, there's been a demand for it, and again, we still want to honor that and get that out there. So I'm very happy with the support we've been receiving from the entire community. It's been wonderful.
I'm really glad to hear that. There's all kinds of hurdles when it comes to publishing books like this, and whenever you're doing crowdsource funding books. So I was curious how the community as a whole has been treating you all. I know that you all did it was a memorial, right, back in August, I believe.
Yeah, we ran a memorial convention, the Eddie Piskor, and the support that we got for that was insane. Like, a lot of people thought we were probably nuts, like planning a convention in like 2 months. Like, that's kind of unheard of, and then to have it be as successful as it was, between us and there was a comic book store in Cleveland called Carol and John's Comic Book Store. Collectively together, we raised almost $5,000 for charity. So it's been just absolutely fantastic, like the support we've been receiving.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And now that you've gotten a taste of the publishing side of things, will you, whatever you decide to do with the next work that your brother left behind, or the sketches that we talked about, I guess you have learned a lot of different things about the publishing side of things, and printing things, and paper stock, and binding, and all that stuff that you do. I'm not sure what you do for a living, Bobby, but it's not
I sit behind a desk, we'll say.
Brother,
so I've learned a lot.
Yeah, you had to learn it quick too, man.
Yeah, like thankfully, like I pick up things pretty quickly. I'm a hands-on learner, and I got a great support system. Family of artists. We got my mom's an artist. My wife's an artist, so it's like we all have some knowledge that we all put together, and we piece everything, and we kind of figure it out, and trial and error. So we'll see how this goes.
Shout out to Carol and John's. Dude's family is amazing.
They really are. I'm very, very thankful to have met them, and for them to do what they did for us. Like, that was just fantastic.
Was your brother in the wrestling?
He was, yeah. I mean, that's where cartoonist kayfabe came from. I mean,
well, I knew the term kayfabe, right?
Yeah. So,
but I didn't know if he had kept, because I mean, drawing and, like I said, doing shows and then publishing books, like, it takes a lot of time. So I didn't know if he still watched wrestling, because you talked about how you were bigger into wrestling than he was.
he didn't watch like modern wrestling. Like he loved like characters, like the wrestling characters. So like early 90s stuff was definitely like something he would watch. He loved listening to like the shoot interviews, and you know, with the glorious thing of YouTube, you can find pretty much anything on there. And when he would have some off time, like he'd hop in the car with me and attend a couple of my events. You know, I took him and Jim to a few shows, and they got to see like the behind the scenes look of like how a wrestling show is put together. But it was just that was what we bonded over. You know, he knew my appreciation for wrestling, and he designed some stuff for Adult Swim. There was a cartoon called Mongo Wrestling Alliance, and Eddie did all the characters for that. He drew all the character work for it.
Back when it was the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, late 80s, early, that's when I used to watch it, man. And it's funny because running this channel for years, I've learned a lot of my viewers are huge into wrestling and comic books, because it's like these paths, just, you know, over the top costumes, storylines, dramatic storylines, soap opera storylines that are hidden by ridiculous plots.
It's the same thing, other than one's on paper and one's in real life.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge connection, and this is true. I would have absolutely loved an Ed Piskor wrestling comic co-written by Piskor family.
So we were actually working on one in between hip hop and X-Men. Ed would come with me to shows and kind of get like the feel of like what goes on behind the scenes, like how a wrestling event is constructed, you know, things that people don't normally get to see. And he started writing a story, and I don't want to get too far into like the details of it, because hold on one second.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, there was a time. Hold on one second.
Yeah. I was all about that WWF. I'm sorry. I guess we can't call it that anymore. Now it's the WWE, right? Again, careful, Omar. Ranger Rake and Pandas are coming. Yeah, it's the, what is it? The World Wildlife, not Federation. They don't wrestle. I don't remember what it's called, but I remember when they stopped using that term.
Yes, but so sorry about that. We're it's just chaos here. Yeah, we were working on a story together, and eventually it was going to be a project that he was going to make into a.
In the 90s, Attitude Era was my jam. Dude, I was all about Ricky the Dragon, Steamboat, World Wildlife Fund. We're not even a federation. Yeah, that's what it was. I remember when that was happening. That was in, oh my gosh, late 90s, I think is when that happened. That's when I started dipping out of wrestling. Because I remember there was, it was when The Rock was coming in and those characters were being brought in. And Stone Cold Steve Austin. That guy was huge in Kentucky. That's where I live.
Sorry, just pure chaos always in my life anymore. So,
it's okay.
But yeah, there was a story that he was writing about wrestling, and it was going to be a very unique tale. And I was kind of helping him with some character ideas, and the idea was that one of my wrestling characters was going to be one of the main characters in the story, and then I would be able to take myself on the road to help promote the book as that character. So it was going to be like something that we were going to work on together. And you know, I'm very bummed that we couldn't complete it, because then, you know, he got the deal with X-Men, and we go from there. And so like the rest is kind of history.
All right, Bobby, no offense, but if I had a chance to work on X-Men or wrestling, and my brother was like, man, let's write this comic together, he would understand, just like I'm sure you understood, that it's X-Men.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, knowing that X-Men was his passion project, it was only a matter of time before he landed something like that. So I'm very thankful that he did, because again, that opened his world even greater.
Ed's mom used to draw with Ed, and she had a piece printed in the X-Men Grand Design Omnibus. Will we see a tribute piece from her?
So Mama P was drawn at the Eddie P Con, and definitely some pieces are going to be floating around. So who knows? You never know when you'll see something pop up of hers.
Oh, I love hearing that. Is she the artistic one in the family? That's where Ed got it from?
Yep. And believe it or not, my dad won't admit to it, but he was actually a fantastic writer. In between jobs, like when he was just he ended up landing a security guard job, and he was sitting in a little booth that had a typewriter, and he began writing screenplays. So again, another project that my brother was working on was actually translating one of his screenplays into a comic. And it just, again, an unfinished piece, but my dad wrote probably about 75 stories.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then he was working on a like a trivia book on baseball. My dad's a huge baseball guy, and he had like a crazy book that he was working on.
So that's where your brother's work ethic comes from, and his artistic ability comes from your mom, and the work ethic and the writing comes from. That's really cool, man.
Yeah. He definitely got the work ethic from my dad. My dad was a hustler, and he learned that definitely from my father.
That's man, that's great to hear. And damn. So when this book hits in the spring, you said you all will decide if it will go to comic book stores. Like, I know right now there is a bundle for retailers to order. I believe it's 5 or more copies, like for a certain, like it's a block price that they have. Zoop offers this retailer bundle, both for the hardcover and the hardcover with dust jacket. But is this, once it hits spring and once you all see this, just, physically in your hands, will then you all decide if there will be like a soft cover version that goes out to retailers?
Yeah, it's all going to be depending on how well this goes, like where we go with it. Again, this is just the first of it. We'll get the first run out there through Zoop, and then again we'll see where it goes from there.
Brother, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but what happens with his other work that was published by other companies like Fantagraphics? What ends up happening with that? Like, who makes decisions on those books?
My mom has full rights of everything.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We own it. We own everything.
The next one.
That's freaking awesome. So your mom can decide on different collected editions for like Red Room. Like, I know a lot of people, Taylor, are there any plans to do a big Red Room omnibus, like the hip hop family tree omnibus, things like that?
Just know we're just getting started.
Yeah, you're learning all about the different types of collected editions now, Bobby.
Get one thing at a time.
It's sort of like wrestling, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, this community is so much like wrestling. So again, we're in it.
And I know with the book that he was working on, Red Room, that is something that people have asked. Like, was he able to finish the last volume?
We're still uncovering certain things, so I'm not entirely sure what's left out there, but we'll it's one day at a time.
Mama P making sure Ed's work continues to be available. Love to hear it. I do too. I love to hear that she is, fully in charge of things that can be printed in case things go out of print. And it seems like you all have surrounded yourself with really good and knowledgeable people when it comes to collected editions, and the people that Ed, of course, surrounded himself with, not just on his show, but like publishers as well, and people that
Absolutely.
can come in and step in and help out if you have any questions too.
Yeah, we've had a great support system since everything happened, and we have a lot of people that we can lean on if we need, you know, professional advice from. So it's been wonderful, and we're very, very thankful for everybody that's helped us along the way and continue to help us.
When you did the tribute, I think I was back in August, right? The con.
Yes.
I know that Jim was there, but you have to have met so many people that day that came up to you and just letting you know how important your brother was to them, whether it was through his work or whether it was through his show.
Oh, it's been so overwhelming. I mean, we've been getting thousands of messages and people reaching out to us, whether it's at events, if we're at a convention, at an awards ceremony. I mean, people that have just been so supportive and have like shared so many stories. Like a lot of our family, they knew of Eddie's success, but they didn't really grasp the gravity of it. And when we did the con, a lot of my aunts that were there, they were like, we just were so blown away at like how many people Eddie touched in their lives in some capacity, whether it's, you know, from a book or from a story or a drawing or just changing the landscape of their lives. I mean, it's been so overwhelming. We had a gentleman at the con that he hadn't drawn in 25 years, but when Ed passed away and like he started like, you know, deep diving back into the comic world, it was just like, you know what, he picked up a pen and he started drawing again, and he's like fully immersed back in the world. So it's just like, even in death, he's still bringing people, you know, back to the comic world.
And I know they have Jim, you know, has left the channel open for Cartoonist Kayfabe. So there's all the archives of videos where they really dive deep into these stories and art. And I know that those kind of shows brought a lot of people back into comics, and also just learn to appreciate a different side of comics, how much it takes to get, you know, put these things out there for people. So I think that's wonderful that his legacy will continue with the books that you all are now in charge of, which is great.
Absolutely.
And then of course the channel that is still out there for people to watch all the archives and just, you know, to hear his voice. Did you watch his show?
He would send us, it was something that like he knew that I would be like interested in, but I have listened to a great deal of them recently. Like if I'm having a bad day, like, you know, I'll throw on my headphones and listen to an episode just to like get me through the rest of my day. So like they're definitely like great to have out there, and I'm so glad that Jim, you know, has kept the channel going, and you know, the world needs it. I mean, you know, Eddie wasn't just a comic book creator, but he was also a historian too. So like there's a lot of useful information and technique that he talks about. I feel like it's super important to the world to be able to listen and learn something that they may not know.
I know it's a weird question, but because I have a YouTube channel, like it would, like my brothers, like I don't think they watch my show unless it's like I make them like, oh, did you guys hear about this? Like unless it's like a book I'm reviewing that they were like, oh, I watched your video, and it surprises me when they would tell me that, like, hey, I watched your video on Berserk or whatever it was, and I was like, oh, really? Because they're my brothers, right? Like they're subscribed to the channel, they're some of the first subscribers, but it's just I don't expect them to. So I was wondering if you did listen, and it's gotta, you know, and it's gotta hit different now that he's gone. Listening
Absolutely.
to that.
Yeah, it's tough, but yeah, I still do find myself listening to episodes.
Okay. Well, Bobby, is there anything else you wanted to add um, to say at the end of this interview?
I just want to thank everybody for their continual support. We've been working our butts off to really get this going, and I'm just again so like blown away by the amount of backers that we've received. And again, thank you all for just being so kind to us. Despite everything that's happened, we've really like appreciated hearing all the stories, and for people to come up and like talk to us and like share an experience. It's very important. And we're again just we're trying our best here, and hopefully we're doing our brother proud, and we're going to continue as much as we possibly can going forward.
So this is the link if you're watching live right now, and there is a link in the description of the video when you're watching a little bit later. The campaign is open for another 22 days, but it's never too late to go and get yourself a book.
Right.
There's different tiers. There's a tier with all kinds of things, stickers and t-shirts as they get everything tier.
Mhm.
I do believe that the art prints, I think some of them have been, the art print number one. So those
Yeah.
are the ones that are claimed.
Yeah, we had listed like the number one prints. Those ones went very quickly.
I kind of figured he had a lot of fans, so they were probably hopping on that.
Yeah, they were going quick.
The prints themselves are still available if you're interested in them. But yeah, that's it. I just want to thank Bobby for his time and Jordan for putting all this together from Zoop. And I can't wait to see the finished product. And again, I'm sorry under the circumstances that this is coming together, but it feels like a very important thing for you and your family to make sure that you put the best possible product out there for your brother.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to keep up to his high standard, and again, thank you all, and thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure sitting here talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it, everybody. Go and click on the link and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great one, everybody. And Bobby,